NVIDIA's RTX 4090 finally came out today. Did it sell out? What happened? I decided to check for myself, not only browsing online, but I went to my local Micro Center in the hopes of actually being able to get one. It actually ended up being a bit of an adventure. Really didn't know if I was going to be able to get one or not. We knew that 9 a.m. is when they were going to open the doors. That's when retailers would start to sell these across the country as well. Now, I started seeing people lining up as early as yesterday at night in order to get into these micro centers and get these GPUs. Now, I didn't think we would have a huge amount of people like we usually did before because the situation is a lot different now, but I was definitely pretty surprised. So in the morning, I jumped in. I didn't want to get there like too early. If I missed it by a little bit, I was kind of okay with it. So I wasn't going crazy and getting there at like 5 in the morning. I decided to get there right around the time that it opened. I still thought that I'd be able to get a GPU because I heard they were going to get a decent amount of stock, and I didn't think the demand was going to be quite like it was the last 2 years. So I make my way there. One of my friends was able to get there first, and he said there were already like 25 people in line. They started giving out vouchers. This is the only way you're going to be able to get one of these on release day. So my friend was able to get one. I actually got there after opening, probably a good 10 to 15 minutes after opening, and I was shocked at how big the line still was. I thought that since people were lining up well before 9 a.m., that queue would have sort of made its way through, but there was still a significant amount of people in line. Must have been at least 25 to 30 people more ahead of me. So by that point, I started thinking, am I really going to be able to get a 4090? I should have made it here earlier. So as I waited in line, we started getting closer, and I saw they were still giving out vouchers to the front of the line. And as we got closer, I started to hear what GPUs were left. Of course, first, the 4090 Strix, the most expensive one, they only had like 8 or 9 of them, and it happened to sell out the fastest. They seem to be the most desirable, even though they come in at a pretty stunning $1999. Definitely the most expensive by a wide margin. So as I heard the employees giving out vouchers, most of the GPUs left. They had a lot of the MSI Trio as well as the other Asus TUF GPUs. Now, they have 2 TUF available. One is $15.99 and then an overclocked version for $17.99. By the time it got to me, were there any GPUs left? The papers were getting very thin. And yes, here is my voucher. I was able to get a voucher for the Asus TUF 4090, the overclocked version. The cheaper one was already sold out by the time it got to me. And here it is. Look how big this GPU is. 4090 Asus TUF OC. Now, would I have gotten the Strix? I don't know. This one seems to be pretty good, and it's a few $100s cheaper. The Strix definitely is pretty expensive, but let's talk about this launch. As I went into the store, more people came out behind me in the line, and they were still giving out vouchers, and even up to the point where I went online to pay, and it was pretty cool. A few people recognized me from the YouTube channel. Hello, if you're watching, that's pretty cool. So as I was paying, I still heard that they had a few vouchers left, even up to the point where I had already gone to the back and was ready to pay. They still had some vouchers left. The line was already all the way in the building. So the GPU certainly didn't sell out immediately. When I went online to even pay for the GPU, I still heard the guy with the vouchers. They said the line was over and they still had some vouchers left. So even if you got there a bit after opening, you still would have been able to get one of these 4090s. Now, there were a significant amount of people there, at least 40, 50 people or more, and at least everybody that was around me was able to get a GPU. At the same time, I was checking Newegg and Best Buy, curious to see what was going to happen, and while they did come in stock, they seem to have sold out really rapidly. Within the first like 10 minutes or so, all those GPUs were also sold out. So I was surprised by the amount of demand you still had for the 4090, and even more surprised by actually the amount of stock that they had. This was definitely at least 3 to 4 times more than the 3090 release at the same store that I remember. Back then, they only had a couple 10, 15 GPUs. Now they had at least 50. They had a huge amount of GPUs, considering this is a 4090 and the most expensive GPU. So Definitely very surprising. Now, checking online, it seems like most places are by now sold out, and I'm sure most of the stores are also sold out, even though I still heard as of, late morning, there's a few places still had a couple of miscellaneous GPUs. So I don't think they sold out with the same velocity as maybe the 3080 or 3090 did last year because there were fewer of them, but they certainly sold out pretty quickly, especially if you check online. Only a few models were left, and even those seem to have sold out after some time. So the demand is definitely there. I mean, a lot of people, you could check, eBay and Facebook Marketplace definitely were there to resell these GPUs. They popped up pretty much immediately as soon as people got their hands on these GPUs. So certainly I would say a number of people that would be your friendly neighborhood scalper, resellers, they definitely were there as well to get their hands on this GPU. Even though it didn't seem as likely that the demand is going to be that great for this, I guess they could still risk it. If it doesn't pan out, they could always return it or sell it for what they got or something like that. But who knows, after seeing the amount of people that were there, maybe there will be a demand for this. Unless they were mostly whole resellers, then that kind of answers the question right there. It's not really people buying it, just people expecting to make a profit on the GPU. I'm not too sure that's going to happen this generation, judging by the amount of GPUs they had on launch day. And given the next week or two, as the stores restock and they start to get more, and the people that initially wanted, today, the people that got them like me or like the enthusiasts, people that really want a high-end GPU, those people are going to get them as soon as they can. After that, maybe the market will thin out a little bit because remember, we don't have the crypto miners buying GPUs anymore like they were previously, and thus you're going to have less resellers, and who knows what's going to happen on the gaming side with the current market the way that it is. But certainly you can say I was pretty surprised at the number of people that showed up. It's going to be interesting to see how the sales pan out after the first day. Today could just be the exception. People just wanted this GPU. People could be thinking there's going to be, prices going up, so they wanted to get it early. Maybe they're going to resell it or use it for whatever. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens during the next week or two. That's going to tell us if first, availability in stock by NVIDIA really is getting better, and they do have a lot of these, which I think they likely do, or if the demand is still really there. Because remember, this GPU did get some pretty awesome reviews and benchmarks, definitely performed really great, an exponential increase over last generation's 3090. So definitely worth it in terms of the number. This is not a product that's just lukewarm or just a little bit better. The difference is pretty staggering judging from all of the benchmarks. We'll see if most games play out like that. I'm going to install this and test it myself. I'll definitely share some of those results with you guys so you get a real world view of what this GPU can do. So for now, if you're looking for a 4090 Ti, just keep looking online. The stores eventually will restock during the next few days, and I'm sure more stock will come in sporadically. As of right now, definitely seems like a successful launch. A lot of people showed up, a lot of people seemed to buy, and they also had a lot of stock and inventory to sell, which is definitely a huge improvement from last time. So I would say it's not that bad of a launch, even though you may see it sold out today. That's just what a new product does. At least some people did have more of a chance this time. Even me, I got there after they opened. I wasn't there like an hour early or anything like that, and I'm sure that was the case for many people as well. So let me know down below if you went today and you tried to get a GPU. What did you get? Were you surprised at the amount of people? Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.